Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case with the latest discussions, arguably one of the most important videos in a while, as Kaden Pressy and Bumpass in the same room one night have spoken out, showing their thoughts, what was going on, and what even happened the day after. Some bits of info which you may have never seen before, I'm going to be presenting it to you today, and for those that were able to witness it last night, just reiterating it today because with it being a live chat and it moving fast, maybe not everybody saw all the details and responses, but this video collectively puts it all together in the order of how conversations came about, with a few questions and answers along the way. I've got the screenshots, I'm going to analyze them, try and break it down, work out what's really going on, check for consistencies or even inconsistencies, and where do we go from there. Whilst people may think that this case has slowed down or progress feels hopeless, I'd say, arguably speaking, that within the last few weeks or month or two, that there has been more activity and fight than ever before, whether that be because I'm the catalyst or not. New, never seen before Snapchat posts coming out of nowhere all of a sudden, which can tell a bit of a story, fill in grey areas, and ever since, key named individuals, familiar faces reaching YouTube to share their thoughts on this channel, which is good. And because it's not too busy, we're able to see the comments and the responses in a decent order without it getting out of control. And hopefully, once again, that can be maintained tonight during this live premiere. Welcome to everyone that is watching live. Be sure to engage with the chat box on the right-hand side of the screen, and we'll see who shows up tonight. Credit to Kaden Pressy for last night, their appearance and answering questions, as well as confirming the odd point with me too, in regards to the back roads. It just goes to show that my understanding in the past, when I may have not known the full context completely, I was still kind of on the right pathway, and it's been acknowledged since. Now, before we do go any further, of course, feel free to share your questions, additional thoughts right now or after watching this video with what's gone down. Drop a comment down below under the video and I can respond back to them later. It does help with spreading awareness, new discussions, new ideas, maybe new videos, and keeping the case alive and allowing this video to be put out there more so more people down the line can hear about it. If you do want to support this channel in an alternative, more practical way, down below in the comment section, pinned message at the top, by me with additional links if you want to follow through with them, such as the PayPal one, and it's also anonymous as well. So if you want to give me 100 carrots or 10,000 potatoes, nobody else needs to know about it. All under control. But big shout out to those individuals as of earlier today or last night for the support on the channel elsewhere. I know who you are, you know who you are, much appreciated. And of course, anyone in between, if there was the odd super chat on YouTube, credit to them. Now, if you simply want to catch up on recent coverage by me on this case and the full playlist as well, top right corner of the screen where the I symbol is, hover up there, click, you get the playlist, drop down menu box of the previous videos you don't want to miss out. With that all being said, the order of how we'll do things today, we're going to get straight in with the screenshots, what Kaden said, what Bumpass said, and a few other people in between, and then we'll just go from there. Let's begin. Well, here we are with the first conversations to kick things off. I am going to read most of what's on screen, and then we'll focus in on the most important points. For example, down below, highlighted with the red arrow, that's when Kaden Pressy starts talking or typing. And we will be comparing and contrasting that to the next slide of Renee Milan's statement, because there's already conflict, which is interesting. But first of all, Skippy, apparently he called his dad. Right, so I think this is regards to Noah Presgrove when wanting a lift back home, when, reaching out to different party goers. But apparently Noah Presgrove called his dad, Victor Presgrove, around 9 p.m. on Sunday, based on a post Casey made. Oh, Casey being Noah's mom. I don't remember seen that, or maybe it's been a while ago. Okay. Where she was upset with Victor for not picking Noah up. Kaden Pressy said he asked him at midnight, Noah, and then asked others, but we don't know who. And Kaden Pressy will add on with that later in the conversations. But I heard there was references made by other people in the community that Victor Presgrove was somewhere hanging out with Caleb Newton and they were drinking. So, is that why Victor couldn't give Noah a lift back home? Because of drinking, maybe? But then again, it depends where the guys were at themselves, close or far away from where they live, because they would have to get from point A to point B, and vice versa. So does that as well. And take in mind that when it comes to Monday, people, and not just at the party, could be engaged elsewhere doing stuff because it is Labour Day. What is it, a bank holiday? I believe so. Other people may be partying in different ways. Some may be busy, others may be drinking heavily and not just at the party. So there can be some limitations along the way. It's understandable if Casey, the mother, was upset, angry with Victor, because if Victor had followed through, then Noah would still be alive. It is a bit of a blame game, I get it, but heat of the moment at the time, it's understandable, the frustrations towards one another, just like how it may have been for Avery and Carter on the porchway Monday at a certain unknown time, where they may have been blaming each other for Noah going missing, disappearing. Oh, you should have kept him at the house. You should have let him into the bed. And if you did, he would still be here now. So, whilst that can be acknowledged that it's normal for Noah to walk away to cool off, this particular occasion wasn't as normal because it actually sparked a level of interest, a supposed search, and before that, possibly, the argument between Avery and Carter. An argument to come about between sisters, all because of Noah. How often would the sisters, how often would other party girls have an argument with one another because of Noah being absent? Was it just this one time because Noah had been absent for much longer than usual? So it got a little bit more serious and tense? That it was like on the verge of, if anything bad happens to Noah, you're to blame for it. And it goes back and forth, but then it cools off afterwards, supposedly. Interesting. What else do we have? We got Jamestown Crips. Kaden is the one saying Noah asked him to, correct? That's the only one that has said this, supposedly. Skippy, it's been said the pickup request didn't happen, but I don't know what's verified as fact. James, Kaden Pressy, who else did Noah ask other than you at the party? Skippy, except for Casey's text, Kaden Pressy is the only other one who has addressed the pickups as far as I know. What does that mean, the pickups? You mean being picked up or wanting to? We got Jam Sandwich. Shout out to Jam, Justice for Noah Presgrove. I appreciate their presence on my channel. Good individual. Hi, Warlike Ref. Are we getting some Warlike Wranglers today? Ho. Maybe, Jam, you did not receive any Wranglers last night. But as for tonight, Warlike Ref After Dark, who knows what could happen or go down later. So for anyone watching and those lurking in the background, you might need to stick around for that, okay? But this is where we get important and focus in. Zooming in partially, Kaden Pressy, down at the bottom where the arrow is. Renee told us to leave the house before the cops got there. How interesting is that? Why would Renee tell Kaden and the guys, Bryle and Mikey Isaac, to leave the house before the cops got there? Because when we compare it to what Renee has stated herself, April 29th, 2024, highlighted in red, well, you can see for yourself. I will read it out in full, just to reiterate it to people. Renee says, I have no clue where people get their information from. No, I didn't clean up anything at the house. which I arrived at almost 7 in the morning. Actually, when I pulled up and things were being picked up, I told them, the partygoers, it's pointless. The cops will know that a party took place. After talking to a few of them, I told them that they would be the first ones investigated because they were the last ones to see Noah alive. People of interest. Secondly, talk of me removing guns is being made into something it's not. And here comes one of the more important points. The kids, the party goers that were leaving, said they had a few guns in their vehicles. Now, what guns were they? Was it Brylan's hunting rifle, Mikey Rojas' 12-gauge shotgun? It could well be. She says, I don't know what kind of guns. I'm not a gun person, but all I know is big ones. So I put them in my vehicle to take where they belonged. Wait. But I thought the kids that were leaving had their own firearms with them at the time, as from what Kaden had said. So for the kids to be leaving with their firearms, for Rene to come on in and take those firearms away from the owners to where they belong, that makes no sense. But from what Rene words it here, it implies there are other firearms. How many firearms were at the party? Okay, people say there was about 40 people at the party at some point. How many of the 40 party goers had firearms? How bad was it? How many were they? I've yet to see an actual number or even an estimated one. The only amount of firearms that I'm aware of is about 4 or 3 of them. That's about it. Probably 3, to be honest. AR-15 Jacks, hunting rifle Brylan, 12-gauge shotgun Isaac Rojas. That's it. So what other firearms were about? And for Rene to word it as the kids that were leaving said, oh, the kids were leaving on their own behalf, on their own terms. Is that so? Rene also mentions, highlighted in red lower down, I never told anyone to leave the house. Interesting. I never told anyone to leave the house. Yet Kaden Pressy says, right here on screen at the bottom, Rene Millan told us to leave the house before the cops got there. Who is telling the truth? And that's not to disrespect or attack, question Kaden Pressy. I'm just putting it out there for people to think about. Why are two people saying different things? Why would Rene Millan supposedly lie? What would the point of that be? And if you interpreted it the other way, why would Kaden Pressy say something, state it, that that's not the case? Rene Millan. I never told anyone to leave the house. I never told Kaden Pressy to leave. And yet Kaden says Rene told us to leave. So who's really telling the truth? And why would someone want a person or people to leave anyway? What good does that do? Yes, you guys, you lot can leave. As for us, or some of the girls, we will stay. Why? So we can communicate with police, get over and done with quick. But you, because you're leaving, things will drag out, making it harder for yourself. Is it done as a form of sabotage? Is it done out of a form of care or concern? Quick, go now before the police arrive, so then you don't have to be questioned. But then at the same time, you're going to be questioned anyway at some point. Why not get it out the way? Why not just stick around, get it out the way, and then you can move on with what needs to be done? And to be honest, if Kaden Pressy was told to leave the house, there is a theme of being told to leave and Kaden Pressy complying with it. Roughly in his own words, Kaden Pressy respects his elders, people of an older age and experience. So to revert it back to the highway scene where Kaden Pressy arrived supposedly at 5:21, by 5:30 he was kind of yelled at. One of the unknown truck drivers was swearing and telling Kaden Pressy to get the hell out of there, to leave. So Kaden Pressy acknowledged that request and left. because he respected his elders. If Kaden Pressy was willing to walk away from the scene where his friend was at dead because Kaden did not want to cause any trouble and he respected others, if Kaden Pressy was willing to do it there at a sensitive time, then it's very likely Kaden Pressy would have done the very same if Renee had told Kaden to leave the party house and go home. But what good does it do? My question to Kaden Pressy, if Kaden is watching, or maybe if Kaden is watching in the background or on catch-up later, my question to Kaden Pressy is, did you ultimately want to leave the party house? At the time of when Renee told you to leave, did you want to? Or did you want to stay at the house because it felt like the right thing to do? And then there's no point asking the question about the highway, about did you want to stay there and remain, because I guess it could go either way, such as, of course I would want to remain there because it's my friend, or I do want to remain there, but then at the same time it is getting upsetting, and or for the likes of Mikey, Brylan or Isaac. So I can understand other factors, as in returning back to the house just for a bit of time to breathe. But in terms of being at the house onwards and awaiting the police to show up, not getting the opportunity at the time to remain there because you're told to leave, how did you feel about that? Did Kaden feel frustrated, disappointed, or was he not bothered at the time? Just follow what people say out of respect. Now, because my question is, if Kaden Pressy, I don't know if I said question, well, yeah, it's kind of a question in general, a situational one. If Kaden Pressy had remained at the party house, regardless of what Renee may have said, would the situation have been any different for Kaden Pressy long term? Because, in fairness, Kaden Pressy, it took some time for him to try and get in contact with police or reach out or have the phone handed over for the phone data and the pings and all of that. Police were a little bit slow acting on Kaden, but they were quick cooperating with other party goers. How does that sit with the likes of Brylan, Mikey and Isaac? Were they treated the same as Kaden, or were they treated better? I'm just trying to create like some kind of link and establish one. But if Kaden Pressy, with leaving the party house, meant that when police arrived at the house, or supposedly did, that the girls being questioned to an extent and anyone else present, but the guys not being there, so it's kind of dragging out the process. Did it have a knock-on effect from there? Hence delays and handing phone over and police wanting it. If Kaden Pressy remained at the party house, would Kaden have been better off, treated better and more efficiently in the interviews with time? Does anyone know? Is that possible or not? Either way, Renee Millan says her side of the story and it goes against Kaden Pressy. I never told anyone to leave the house. So it's quite a big thing, this. Yes, it's post-death of Noah, but it's then what happens next, who's questioned next, and the format of it. Would it have been a lot better, more efficiently, if everyone remained at the house, or people dispersing and leaving? Which way works? I mean, it's quite obvious, in a way. What do we have here? So we continue on with the conversations. James, so he wasn't asking everyone for a ride then. So this jumps onto the conversation about Noah Presgrove reaching out for a ride, asking partygoers, but Kaden isn't too sure the names exactly. And other people were trying to question Kaden and work out, well, if you don't really know, then how do you know that Noah had reached out to people besides yourself? And we'll get to that a bit later. We've got Teresa here. We've got Tim Daniel. Welcome to, well, not welcome because I know you've been here for a bit now, but shout out to Tim Daniel. Do you know what? You know, one thing that I've not done yet when it comes to slip of the tongue, when I see Tim Daniel, thank God I've never mentioned it in the same sentence as Jack Newton, because next time you'll probably get me where I say Jack Daniel or Jack Daniels, But to be honest, wouldn't surprise me if that does happen at some point. Skippy, responding back to a person on YouTube called Member. In chat, it's been said a little 22 vehicles went south, but Jack said there was 0 traffic. Not sure of his source. Well, in terms of Jack's source and supposedly Stevie Howard's, it's all based off the mini-mart, the gas station in Terrell, the town, what we've looked at on the maps, Street View. Couldn't quite see the cameras, but clearly the cameras where they're pointed will show towards the highway of what comes through, north or south. So there's that. Then I believe Tim Daniel mentioned or re-quoted it about the 22 vehicles or so. But 22 vehicles south. Actually, to be honest, I'm not sure if it was Tim, but it was someone that mentioned maybe 20-something vehicles, but they did not go south, they went north, I think. And if they're more likely to go north, does that include the Texas boys? Hence, people adding on the theory of concept that Noah was in the back of one of those vehicles that was heading north in the same direction where Noah would be going to try and get back home. Possibly. As said, we can do a dedicated video about the traffic once again and the possible side theories and the back routes and back roads to Texas, kind of like how Brooke Bounds Carter has said. We can do a separate video on that, but just for now, I want to catch up with this here. We got Sharon that says, hey, you like Sharon? Hey. We got George, here I am. Yes, we can see. Team Truth. Yes, Andrea. Justin has claimed that, BS says it never happened. Don't know what that's about. Kaden Pressy then says, Noah Presgrove has asked multiple people, but I don't know who all he asked. Right. Kaden Pressy is aware that Noah approached him asking for a ride back. Kaden Pressy, as we've heard previously, said, I can't, I've been drinking. Fair enough. Kaden Pressy did mention there at the time, and still does now, that Noah did ask other people, but was rejected. Asking other people, likely Kaden familiar with those other people and those familiar faces, but Kaden may have not physically seen or witnessed Noah approaching those specific people, but more than likely listening with his ears or so. And that probably could tie in with some other events earlier on, maybe with the odd argument where Kaden Pressy said, I didn't really participate in the argument, I didn't get involved, like the Saturday or past midnight one, but I did overhear what was being said and what was being talked about. So there are other senses you can use besides your eyes. It might not be for the full jigsaw puzzle, but it's part of it. Noah had asked multiple people, but I just don't know who all he asked. What Kaden says. Moving on. Kaden responds to Member, I did see Noah asking other people, I just don't remember who he was asking. I wasn't paying close detail to that. Right. Well, based off that language and wording there, Kaden, and this is not to sound sarcastic, but Kaden Pressy says he used his eyes to physically see Noah asking other people, up close, talking, making facial eye contact and talking. I just don't remember who he was asking. I wasn't paying detail. Right. So you can see that Noah is talking to some other people. Are those other people you're familiar with, or are they complete strangers? Because I know you might not remember everything, all the details, the ins and outs, but I would argue and say you're probably more likely to remember a familiar face because you know them, rather than a specific conversation which may have went on with that familiar face and Noah Presgrove. That's all I'm saying. So does Kaden Pressy's comment here, could it be interpreted that who Noah may have been talking to, Kaden saw, but Kaden isn't quite familiar with that person, or it's not as memorable, that individual, to Kaden, not direct friends. So the recollection of thoughts aren't quite there. See, as well, in the moment, you might not remember everything. I get that. And as time passes by and you got to refer back to it now, it might be even harder to do so. Is it possible that Kaden Pressy, in an early private interview that has not been leaked, that has not been hacked, that when Kaden did talk to people, he did remember at the time who Noah was actually asking? Now, at the end of the day, the other people, as to how many, who knows, but each one supposedly rejected, turned down Noah because Noah remained at the party. What was the reasoning behind the other people saying no? Is it all coming down to drinking and that's mainly it? Possibly. Oh, we're zooming in and out once again. Why does it do that? What else do we have? So James says, so Kaden, how do you know he was asking? Brooke Carter says, my goodness. And then we get some person with Kermit the Frog in the profile picture called Big Black Dildo Detectives. Interesting. Very. And they say, so Kaden, did you see him talking to other people and now you assume he was asking, or did you actually hear it? Yeah. So what, assuming that because you saw briefly Noah stood next to somebody else, it was interpreted as, oh, it's probably Noah asking about getting a lift back? Or is it more so you saw with your eyes and you also heard with your ears what it was about, but you just don't remember the face? Or something else in between. But as for that profile picture, detective, hey everybody, it's me, Kermit the Frog. Hey, I look my colour, boy. You can put makeup on my face any day if you like. But I'll tell you something, I hate it when the goddamn thing zooms out. Why does it do that to me? Goddamn. Let's move on to the next slide. Anyway. Oh, not again. Dildo Detective says, I'm not understand. How could you be so sure? If he asked people, if you can't identify who he asked, what was there? Like 15 people at the party house, not many to go through. And a smaller number of people remaining at the party house, maybe more familiar with their names or faces, at least, unless it's more so strangers. The timing of it, Sunday night going into early hours of Monday morning. Tracy Lynn says, Oklahoma Highway Patrol Trooper Zachary Wright later found his body at the Highway 81, Noah's, Jefferson County, at 6:18 a.m. Labor Day, according to the medical examiner's summary report. Kaden Pressy responds back to Big Detective, what's up, Big Black? That's what Kaden says. And I did see him asking people, Noah asking people, but like I said, I don't remember at this moment the names of people he had asked. It's important that. And the reason why it's important, Kaden Pressy at this moment in time can't remember who Noah had asked. Does that mean that in the future Kaden may remember who Noah had asked? Well, you wouldn't expect that from someone in which a year or longer has passed by since. Your memory normally doesn't get better with time, not always, there might be exceptions. It can get worse, it can get harder to remember. Like with the defense mechanism of the brain and the body and any trauma along the way trying to heal, you might repress certain thoughts to the back of your mind. Some of it may be eliminated for good. So realistically, maybe earlier on in the case when it was more fresh, Kaden could probably remember those names to faces in which Noah had reached out to. If there are any early interviews in which Kaden did remember and said it then, that's what matters most. If Kaden Pressy does forget with time, it's understandable, but if it was documented, recorded in the earlier days with higher accuracy, that's what matters. It might just not be available publicly. That's the only counterpoint. But I wonder if Kaden may remember certain names with times. Teresa says, well, Kaden Pressy does have hearing, his ears perhaps. That's just in a bit of a light-hearted way. Kaden Pressy says, that's an awesome theory, Teresa, in a harmless way. James, what time did Noah ask you for a ride? And what time did you observe him asking other people? Interesting. Detective says, did you actually hear it with your own ears? Let's move on to the next slide. As I said, Kaden did answer as best as he could, and I tried getting the screenshots, what I could find from the conversations last night. If anything is missing, you're welcome to go back to my video last night, as the live chat replay does save. So you will be able to follow it there. Robbie Taylor, Kaden, ODOT wasn't there until at least 7:39 in the morning to flag the traffic. Who was blocking the road at the time, or if it was earlier on? Rebecca Gagliari, ha ha ha. Team Truth, Kaden. So is it all the other 9 involved, you think, as with people? Team Truth asks, was JJ Bumpass there or not? We got Robbie present, welcome. Kaden Pressy says, the cops, I don't know. I didn't walk up to them and ask for their badge numbers, Robbie. So is this in reference to when Kaden Pressy was leaving at whatever time that was, whether that be 7:39 or if it be 7 in the morning from, based off Kaden's Partners in True Crime interview when leaving at 7 in the morning and supposedly being told by Renee at that time to leave before the cops arrive. And Kaden said that the highway was already blocked, so had to go down a back road, the very first one, which is near or opposite to the first sand plant crossing on the right, taking a right, going down, then taking a left, then taking a left, then taking a right back onto the highway and heading north. And we'll see that acknowledged later on. But in the process of all that, not stopping, not getting out, not asking the cops for the badge numbers, how it can be interpreted here by Kaden. Interesting. James, dude, you are master of disguises. What does that mean? Tammy, glad Kaden is here. I wish Jack, Carter, Avery and the rest of the gang would come on and answer questions. Well, the thing is, Tammy, you never know who's watching in the background, such as right now. It could be one of those people. And if not, maybe in the future, there might be a place and time where it takes place. At the end of the day, and as a heads up for those watching in the background slightly unsure whether to comment or not, it tends to be more under control here than on Facebook and at times than on Reddit. And if anything does go upside down, you don't need to worry because I've got tools on me at hand which will maintain a level of order and control within reason. So it's all under control there. Robbie says, Kaden, thank you for answering questions. Moving on. And then, because of the mention of JJ, whether he was at the party or not, JJ Bumpass does make an appearance and show up, as you can see on screen. That is a profile picture of JJ in a kitchen, sat on the countertop, I believe, with a hat on, red pants. JJ says, JJ was not there, Team Truth. So JJ kind of talking in third person there, which is a bit interesting, but okay, fair enough. We do need to acknowledge, though, that the reason why there is questioning with JJ, the reason why JJ has been dragged within this case is because of some people on Facebook with time and others possibly creating a Snapchat account to then contact Colton Newton, Jack Newton's older brother, and adding into a conversation that JJ's phone was pinging at the house. Colton seemed to go along with it and agree. So it created that idea of, well, why was JJ there? Then when other people found out that JJ at some point, which was later on post-death of Noah, was with Logan, people assumed that JJ must have been with Logan at the same time as the party. So if JJ's there, Noah's on the floor next to Logan, things get messy. Oh, we might have the murderer, if it is one. But that's not entirely true. We'll get to that with time. I just wanted to throw it in as for how things have been thrown about since and how dodgy it's got. But you got Brooke Bounds Carter there says, hi JJ and Andrea as well. Laughing, I guess what? Because of talking in third person, hopefully. I know maybe some people along the way have been a bit cautious of certain named accounts. Are they real or not? Is it a fake account or not? Always got to acknowledge that in between. Jam says to Kaden, did ODOT close the road going north to the north or south of the party house road? James, that'd be brilliant. Tim Daniel, Kaden, why do the other guys in your vehicle disagree about the 5:21 time? I find that interesting because, to my knowledge, I wasn't aware of that. So, Tim Daniel, from what you say here, it can be interpreted that Brylan, Mikey, and Isaac don't agree that it was 5:21 when they arrived at the highway. What time was it then? And as well, Tim, how do you know about this? Where was it mentioned? Did one of the guys comment on Facebook previously, countering Kaden Pressy's timeline? I'm not aware. If you can give a bit of context in the comment section, that might help. What else do we have? Team Truth. Oh, there we go. Kaden shouldn't have to answer all these. I appreciate he does, but anything from phone could prove it and stop all the hounding him. So you mean like phone data? Rebecca, George Caleb would be insulted if heard that. Kaden Pressy says there are so many fake accounts in here. Who would be considered a fake account? Sure, you can get a default account, a default profile picture, which is created by itself. I mean, an example, no offense. You could say Tim Daniel is a default account in which when you go onto YouTube, when you create an account, when you sign in via Google and then you access YouTube with Google account, it creates a default channel for you on YouTube. And if you don't upload videos because you don't plan on that, you just have a YouTube account channel so you can comment on other people's videos. You got access to playlist. You can like videos, share videos, and interact with channels and whatnot. But you don't intend on using your channel for anything else. That would be considered a default channel. And a default profile picture is just basically where YouTube will give you a blank profile picture and the letter represents the first name or the first letter of your username. So Tim Daniel, his profile picture is the letter T because of his name Tim. OK reported, O for his profile picture. YouTube does it by default. It's the same with email services. You create an email account, default profile picture of your account will be of the first letter of your name or username. That's all it is at the end of the day. Just to highlight it. A fake account is where someone will create an account and pretend to be somebody else. Someone else who's known or a complete stranger, hiding under a different account, but doing it in a manipulative, dark way for other reasons. There might be some people that may use a fake alternative account just to protect themselves and to stay safe, while still being able to engage and do the right thing in a case or community. It's not evil, that. But those that may hide behind fake accounts and then do bad things or spread false narratives or cause disinformation or a bit of misinformation, it can get a little bit problematic. But in the eyes of Kaden Pressy, if you're present, who do you think is a fake account? Like right now or last night? Who's really fake? I mean, in terms of who I see on screen, they don't seem to be fake, at least to my knowledge. Yes, I know there were some people that said Sharon is a fake account. That is not really Sharon. That's supposedly warlike Raph in disguise, wearing a wig and makeup being applied. That warlike Raph every now and then decides to up the increase in estrogen just so he can have a secondary account. No. No one, nor can I even come close or replicate Sharon. She's a completely separate individual and unique to themselves. their ability and characteristics. No one can imitate Sharon, okay? A unique individual. Yes, I can put a wig on my head, and yes, I can alter the pitch and tone of my voice, but I cannot replicate certain other people. No. So yeah, there are times where wild claims can be made, and sometimes the term fake account, people can jump onto the bandwagon of it. So we need to keep it under control and with reasoning. I'm not saying that to Kaden, I'm just talking in general about that, right? But moving on. What else do we have here? Kaden says, and it was Renee, her husband, her daughter, Stephanie Milan, and Stephanie's boyfriend, who I think may have been called Nichols also, or Nicholas, all came that morning. Okay. Well, we've heard that before, but Kaden is just reconfirming it, which is good to know. As in, at the highway, then coming down to the party house. The only reason why I would say it's kind of interesting is because when it comes to when it comes to Stephanie Milan, the daughter to Renee being the mother, Stephanie was at the party. Stephanie via Snapchat confirmed that. But Stephanie Milan goes under the radar and still does till this day. And I don't know what you think, Kaden Pressy, but let me know your thoughts. Because Stephanie Milan said there was no arguments at the party. It was mainly calm. No one had beef with Noah Presgrove. It was fine. And as for that rollover, whether it did or didn't happen, there was no injuries. That's roughly re-quoting that there, because I can't remember if Stephanie said a rollover did or didn't happen, but at least when it came to injuries, there was none. And yet, as I've heard from Kaden Pressy, that there were arguments at the party, that Kaden overheard the odd one, that Kaden Pressy heard about Noah starting it with Jack because of what Jack did to Noah's girlfriend behind his back at the time by flirting, and Noah wasn't too pleased with that, fair enough. And then beyond, the bedroom debacle and that, and the final argument with Jack, whatever that was about, things went on. Wasn't great. I know Kaden Pressy did mention that when it came to Saturday, referring to Partners in True Crime, it was a normal day, it was a good time, it was fine, no issues. That argument though, well, if that's past midnight going into early hours of Sunday morning, well, it doesn't count as Saturday anymore, does it? So you could argue and say, well, Saturday technically was all fine and okay. It's just afterwards, that's when shit went down. But for Stephanie Milan to be present at the party, as for what day she arrived at or attended, I'm not too sure, but was there and said there was no arguments, this and that, documented it on my channel with the Snapchat post and comments. What the hell is going on there? And at the time when a stranger online was questioning Stephanie Milan, and then later, who was it? Was it Colton Newton? I think Colton that said, hey, if you keep questioning Stephanie Milan, direct it through me, because if you continue on, I will come and find you or something. What was that all about? Kaden Pressy, what's your reaction to that as for Colton's threatening behaviour and language when defending Stephanie Milan? Why would Colton act in a threatening way towards a stranger online, simply communicating with a partygoer such as Stephanie Milan in trying to figure out what's going on, when at the time Stephanie Milan, and maybe onwards, had a boyfriend anyway, and it wasn't Colton, it was some other guy. So why is Colton looking out for Stephanie when Stephanie already has a boyfriend? It could just be a friendship, and that is all. But it's just trying to understand these different connections of what people have and one looking out for another. In what way and why? What's the link? Stephanie Milan leaving the party at some point in order to return back Monday morning, but Jasmine Milan remains at the party throughout. It's very interesting, this. Tammy to Tim, why don't they come here and speak for themselves, unless that's what happens with time? Beauty Garumo, shout out to Beauty Garumo. I still think that's probably one of the better profile pictures I've seen in a while in terms of the art style. I keep seeing that blood, it keeps directing me to the blood. Oh my God. Beauty says, Kaden, nice to see you here. Hopefully you can make things a little more clear for some. Did you mention at all to your mom, Alicia, that Noah might still need a ride home since you couldn't take him earlier? Okay, we'll get to that later because Kaden does respond about that. Skippy to Tim, all the other guys or just one or two, can you elaborate? And then Keely Lacey, welcome to the channel. Damn, everyone, lay off Kaden. He was at a party drinking over a year ago. I'm sure he wasn't paying that close of attention. So, yeah, I would say Kaden Pressy can handle himself rather well, considering what he's had to put up with ever since and doing things in between. But equally, at the same time, don't want to apply too much pressure or pushback on Kaden. Just need to try and keep that balance. So you got the longevity, so you got the communication and possible answers to questions along the way. Granted, the reason why there might be a lot of questions in a short space of time and it might seem a bit overwhelming, whether that be for Kaden or maybe he doesn't care, but maybe to other people's perspective, it being overwhelming, is because you don't come across Kaden too often, maybe. Not really seen him much at all on YouTube as for publicly speaking. So when someone does make their first appearance or make their presence known, it can create some shockwaves and generate a lot of interest. If I was covering this case from day one on YouTube, and if it was a better time where people felt more safe to speak out or leave comments in the chat and go on from there without getting too attacked, it might have happened more naturally with time and the questions would have been spread out more. But because there's been a big build-up since of not knowing and trying to wait patiently for a possible response, when someone does show up in the moment live, when they can respond back live, you're going to get a big burst and rush. It's just what happens. What else do we have? Mitch, you speak the truth, team. If Kaden Pressy would just send his phone records to Warlight Ref, we would all know. Is that going to happen though? Probably not. But there's like phone records, like phone pings where they could be applied somehow or in some way. Yeah, it could go a long way. In the meantime though, as I think what Tim said, it'd be interesting to see what was going on about the other guys saying Kaden's timeline wasn't right, even though they were with Kaden at the time when on the highway. I'd like to know a bit more about that in a way. This can be context. Jam to Kaden, agreed. It's hard to know who is who. I got accused by Brookbounce, Carter and the Minions the other day. Why? Oh no. Oh no. Are you saying Jam Sandwich that you've been accused of not being Jam, but you've been accused of being Marmalade instead? Ah, what a sticky situation you're caught up in. Jamestown, they're not fake. We are live people. We live people, not bots. We just have cool handles. Handles as in usernames. I get that. The reason why my tag handle username or the @ symbol has changed to WarlightRef02 or something like that is just because there was conflict with another random cretin out there, some random default channel out there, which had a similar username as me. So whenever I tagged myself to YouTube, it wouldn't register. It would pick up their channel, not mine. And then it got really complicated. So I had to make mine more unique. And I kept delaying it, but in recent time I decided to just do it and change it. That's all. What else do we have here? Oh, Kermit the Frog's back. Hey, it's me, the big black detective. I got a few questions to share with you, mister, if you don't mind. Hey, Beauty Gurumo, you can apply my frog face anytime you like. I need more green paint, I'm drying out a little bit. Anyway, detective says, Kaden, did you take all the ice chest with you that morning? I've seen pictures of one left at the house. Do you know who it belongs to? Then Beauty goes on to say, I don't think anyone is attacking Kaden at this moment, just a lot of questions because it's nice to have a party goer in chat that was physically there. So basically Beauty Gurumo summarised it better than I did before when it took me like 10 minutes to explain. Team Truth says, Jam, you're fake. In what way then? I mean, I've seen Jam around for a while. May have come across them on a different platform. I don't know, I can't fully remember. And it's been a consistent level of behaviour in a positive way. So, you know, the longer people are around for, a better understanding I have of them. Kaden Pressy responds to Team Truth and says, I couldn't care less if people believed me or not. It don't change nothing. If these people believe me, I've already told my truth and nothing can change about that. Of course, if Kaden Pressy has told the truth from his perspective, from what he sees, from what he's heard, from the horse's mouth, and it's all true, does it compare or does it contrast to other interviews, what we may have seen in between? Well, there have been contradictions. There might have been mistakes with time, 30-minute time difference here or there or here or there. But ultimately, I'd say for that full understanding, you'd need to compare the 2024 police interview with, was it October 2023, that interview? The earlier the interview, the better, the more fresh one's memory is, right? Then you could compare it to a later interview to see how drastic the change is, possibly. Jam says, thank you for showing up today, Kaden. It takes more courage than people that hire people like Brooke Bounds-Carter, in my opinion. Oh no. Robbie, he just said in here it was blocked when I asked him. What? Okay. See how easy it is to accuse. Skippy says to Big Black Detective, I hope that's not your real name, lol. I can imagine you filing out a job application. Well, I'll tell you something, Skippy. Yeah, Skippy, the one using lassos as a skipping rope. Oh my God, how could you even do that, man? You wearing down the rope? That could be used on better things. But Skippy, the coyote tamer, the boxing kangaroo trainer, yeah. Well, if Big Black Dildo Detective is their real name, yeah, we can all do a show and tell, can't we? Let me see your device. Let me see how big yours is, and I'll show you how big mine is. I'll tell you something. I do have a giant vibrating device, and it's near me, quite near, and a giant banana. I'll be showing that later. Don't worry, Tim Daniel. It'll be okay. You don't need any Jack Daniels. Just stick to Tim. It'll be fine. More context later. We'll get to it eventually. For now, we'll just call this person Big Detective. We'll call him Big D. No, that's actually not good. That's even worse. Detective it is. But in between, we've got, is that Kaylee or K-E? Done. It's like uppercase, lowercase. Skippy, the other boys have not spoken to anyone on here or on Noah's groups, nor have they spoken to Noah's family. Ah, interesting. Kaden says, in response to Team Truth, but yes, Truth, I'm glad people believe me, but like I said, it don't change nothing if people do or don't. Fair enough. I mean, if Kaden Pressy's telling the truth, that's good. In the early days of when Kaden was speaking out for the very first time, people believed in him, appreciated him doing so. Then unfortunately, all because of that leaked interview, that's what started to cast doubt. You know, being honest, just an observation. If that police interview of 2024 was never leaked, never revealed out there, all we would know is what Kaden had said on Facebook, Partners in True Crime, and maybe on TikTok here or there. And it would be more consistent. It's just that police interview of 2024, when comparing that with Partners in True Crime, there are things that do stand out, which is unfortunate. But if you used to compare it with a 2023 interview, I don't know, it could be more consistent. Who knows? Just wanted to highlight that. James, Kaden, if you knew Noah wanted a ride, why didn't you ask your mom Alicia, since you knew she was coming there? See, the thing is, by the time of when whatever was done, Kaden Pressy was asleep, was he not? And that's why at 2:43 he got a call from Alicia about Georgia making it back home. So if Kaden had gone to sleep around the time, or was already asleep before Alicia and Melissa also took action, well, on the highway specifically. But then again, when you follow the conversations from what I can remember via, was it Facebook Messenger or another app service, where Alicia was saying to Kaden, after Kaden showed Alicia that photo of Georgia the front patio porchway on the ground, leaning over after throwing up, after drinking heavily. And Alicia was like, right, follow Georgia wherever she goes. Keep her safe. Don't let anyone take photos of her. And if she goes to the bathroom, follow her. Make sure you do. And then from maybe Life 360 or maybe some of a different service tracker, Alicia noticed that Kaden's ping was nowhere near Georgia and thought, hey, Kaden, hours have passed by. Why are you not with Georgia? What the hell's going on? And then I think the final triggering point was when, was it Life 360, where it showed Georgia's movement was unusual going down the highway, and it was like, right, action needs to be taken. But if that really was the case, already going down the highway and the phone was pinging, how much distance was covered on the highway, in what direction, in order for then the likes of Alicia and maybe Melissa or just Alicia to show up and get a hold of Georgia and do the right thing and take her back? Interesting. How much time would it take to get from one place to the highway? Interesting. But that supposedly happened, or at least from what we saw last night, that Georgia and Breely had left the party house by 2 a.m. Monday. At least by 2 a.m, or just before 2 a.m. Monday. 43 minutes later, Kaden's made aware that Georgia has made it back home, from what Alicia had said to him and from what Kaden had said relaying it in the interview. Is that okay with people? If anything stands out or is unusual, you can always question it down below. Detective says, do you remember Noah having an ice chest there? Team Truth, well, Robbie, it would be a start if they verified, it'd be more to believe. Robbie Taylor says, Fallon is Noah's ex-girlfriend. So what I do want to say is, because as we know, John Doe in recent time, whinging and whining to a slight extent, and that is not an insult, that is just an observation in tone and how the text has changed with time. See, at the end of the day, in regards to Noah's ex-girlfriend, are we referring to ex-girlfriend as in right now because Noah is no longer with the girlfriend, girlfriend's no longer with Noah because Noah's no longer here on this earth? Is that why we refer to as ex-girlfriend? If so, fair enough. At the time, though, Noah had a girlfriend, but the girlfriend was not at the party. But at the time of the party when Noah had a girlfriend who was not present, Noah had an ex-girlfriend before that. Am I correct in saying? See, this is what I mean. Names aren't always added to the titles of people or relationship statuses over time. Yes, I was aware that Noah may have had a girlfriend here or there, but was I aware directly of the name specifically? Yes, no, maybe. There's been so many names thrown about all over the place, and a process in different names in the case in general is trying to look at one by one. The reality is, the fact supposedly that Noah's girlfriend was not at the party, so Noah's girlfriend is not directly a witness to what went on there. So it's not the end of the world if I don't remember the person's name, even though some people like to get the melons and a twist and anything else in between. There is a process, it'll be okay. But I do remember in the past, wasn't there another girlfriend, ex-girlfriend called Nevaeh or Phelan? See, is Phelan a different person to Fallon? Or is it down to the spelling? Because when I tried confirming it in my mind, I typed in Fallon Durbin on Facebook, and I swear the name changed to Phelan Durbin, not Fallon Durbin. I might have to double check. If Nevaeh is a separate individual Noah was with at some point, who was 16 years old, supposedly, and then you've got Fallon or Phelan. Is Phelan Fallon? Is Fallon Phelan? Is it spelled differently amongst different people? Or is Fallon a different person to Phelan? And as for Nevaeh, is Nevaeh the first or last name of one of a previous girlfriend? It'll be very interesting, believe me, because if it comes down to spelling, then technically I didn't get the names wrong, or I was aware of the person. But we'll get to that later. If anyone can confirm it in the chat, I'll even double check. But I'm sure, I swear, when I typed in Fallon on Facebook or somewhere where checking, just to see if they were friends or connected to Noah, which obviously they were, I'm sure when I typed in Fallon, it did not come up. It said Phelan, Durbin. I don't know. Dodgy. Kaden Pressy says, it didn't come across my mind, and that's in response to Big. Big says, do you remember Noah having an ice chest? And Ken says, not to my mind or memory. And I believe that's in response directly to that. But what's more important is what James says. Kaden, if you knew Noah wanted a ride, why didn't you ask your mum Alicia to help Noah get back home? And Beauty Garumo asked the same thing. Kaden Pressy says, I wish I would have done so. That Kaden wishes he told Alicia about Noah wanting a ride back home, and that Alicia would have done so, and that Noah would have survived. But this is the psychological impact it can have of, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. At the time, I wasn't thinking. So then after the bad event, you start thinking back and thinking, you know what, I could have done this differently. I could have said that. I could have enabled this. Could have reached out to Alicia at the time and Noah would have been okay. But that's when it comes to afterwards, when it won't make a difference because what's done is done. But that self-punishment where you punish yourself, torment your mind, naturally it can happen, whether it be defense mechanisms or blaming yourself. But, you know, it's not your fault. It's not Kaden's fault. Because at the end of the day, as much as Kaden at some point could have blamed himself or it tore him apart, knowing adjustments could have been made and that there was someone available, there are other people here and there that could have given Noah a lift as well, who may have been at the party or visiting temporarily. It just depends at what point Noah wanted to go home and at what point he decided to stay at the house. By the time Alicia may have been on the highway only, if contact was made with Kaden and Alicia about, can you come to the house to pick Noah up, is there a chance by that time Noah may have wanted to stay at the house and remain where he was because he was now happy, he was content? There's that what you got to process in your mind as well. Do we have anything else in between? Skippy. Kaden, thanks for being on here. I know it can seem as if this is a human polygraph. JJ, thanks also for being here. Hang in there, guys. Brooke Carter says, Jams, so back and look at your comments, honey. All of them include my name. Totally obsessed. Teresa, didn't one of the girls deny Noah a ride because she was giving someone else a ride? Would that be Carter Combs? I don't know. Kay says, Robbie, we don't need anything. It would be nice if we could see it, but I doubt police would like that being shared on Facebook. Oh, is that in terms of the records or so, the data? Come on. Why does it do that, though? I never understand because it never used to happen on the previous device, but when I click zoom in and then zoom out, it just seems to, like, it zooms out too much and then I've got to keep clicking on and off into the gallery. Apologies about that. See if we can fix it in the future. So what do we have here besides my back? So just as a little heads up, if anyone wants to become a member on my channel, you will get exclusive access to a custom rose, a custom cat with its tongue sticking out, and you will have access to my back, okay? I know I look like a Christmas turkey overdone, burnt, but you will have access to my back. Granted, I don't know who would want access to it, but just as a heads up in case you're wondering. We've got Sharon there with blue hearts, you two as well. Brooke says, loser. Kaden Pressy says, I'm not sure, but Noah really did love Fallon, but they had a toxic relationship at the time and were always breaking up and getting back together. Okay. See, this is what I mean. No one's going to play the blame game there because Fallon wasn't at the party, but if she was, would it have been any different? Would anything have changed? Would it have created any more complications? right? If like the shower situation with, what is it, Jasmine Milan, Carter Combs, and if Fallon was there, how would she feel? Or if Noah was sleeping next to Logan Jernigan, how would Fallon feel about that? You know, bits and bobs in between. And as well, if it's true that Jack had flirted with Fallon behind Noah's back, was it one way or was it two way? You get what I'm saying? If Noah was with Fallon at the time and they were together, even if there was breaking up in between, if they were together at the time and somewhat strong, for Jack to go behind Noah's back to flirt with Fallon, it's obviously not a good thing. But how did Fallon respond to Jack? Was it two way? You can't just be blaming Jack on it all if Fallon, reciprocated. Obviously, it's like indirect stuff on the sideline, but I'm just surprised. And this is not like a prediction, but just as like a very rough observation that when people like to get very picky about the case or certain party goers, I'm surprised, and some people that like to look into the past or history of people and things they may have done in the past or got caught up in, for whatever reason, I'm surprised no one's trying to put across the idea that, well, because Noah supposedly was in a toxic relationship with a girl, that's what caused him to be the way he is, or the way he flirts with other people on and off because things are breaking up and down, communication breakups and all kinds of dysfunctions. Who knows? But the fact that Kaden says that Noah really did love Fallon, even if it was toxic, the relationship, whilst breaking up on and off, was it toxic one way or both ways? Was it give and take? Or was it Fallon dishing it out on Noah? Whether that be arguments, falling outs, disagreements, or was it a mixture of both, like 50-50? Out of interest. It's just like details which I've never seen before from what Kaden Pressy knows of, supposedly. What else do we have? Jam. Brooke Bounce Carter and her minions are throwing shit on the wall. Is that so? James, Kaden, what time was Noah asking for a ride from multiple people? Kaden says to James Town, I can think of it off the top of my head at the moment. Maybe what Kaden meant to say was, I can't think at the top of my head at the moment. We got Sharon Ref with some kitty cats and kisses. Could I have a few more, Sharon? You might have missed a spot. Just a few more kisses, please. Thank you. Sharon, I could give you 10,000 kisses. It still would not be enough to express myself. But moving on, Team Truth. I understand that Kaden, but your mom has been saying that she has this proof. And if she would just show it, it would end this. Robbie Taylor. The problem with Justin saying stuff is all his groupies then run with it whether it's true or not. Right. This is where it gets kind of interesting. Zoom out for a second. So, last night I was understanding it from Justin Roy's point of view about predictions made, how they may have not come true, how he was really the only one saying them, the keyword, the R word, where you do something to someone without their consent. Justin wasn't saying that's what Noah did. Justin wasn't making accusations. Justin was making predictions, as in what people could stoop to then accuse Noah of doing at the party to try and justify why Noah died. But because it never followed up, and it never supposedly happened, Justin being the only one mentioning it, people interpreting what Justin said as either an accusation, then calling Justin out, or if people read Justin's comments not as a prediction but as the truth and believed that's what Noah had done at some point. So there might be other times where Justin could be giving his opinion of what he thinks, but sometimes Justin can be quite strong or passionate with his words, so it may come across with a little bit more confidence when it may just be an opinion, and other people interpret it more as the truth or a fact or a statement rather than an opinion and then run off on it. Then there might be some Chinese whispers, and whenever there's a level of passion, if it's not controlled, it can get a bit chaotic and messy, and then there's misunderstandings, and it's not good. It's not good. That might have already happened in the past and damage has been done. Sometimes when people have got passionate about sharing a screenshot or a conversation taken out of context, wrong people have been blamed or accused of referring to somebody else when it was actually meant to do with a different person. And then connections have broken down between people with time, and it's just a complete mess. See, when you get people that may talk or only show certain context about, well, he said this or she said that, and it's like, well, who's he? Who's she? Are we talking about a specific named individual? Are we talking in code? Are we talking in general? And if the conversation doesn't mention anyone's name, but it does mention or refer to a person's gender, and then someone uses that and says, look, this is what this person's been talking to you about behind your back. He said this, she's that. No direct mention of the name or acknowledgement, but that person's been sharing it and been told or convinced that, yeah, even though it doesn't mention your name, they're actually referring to you, and that person believes that. Misunderstanding, breakdown in communication, all kinds of mess. Yep, it happens. Has it happened in recent time? I don't know, you can let me know below. Let's move on. Shout out to Badger last night for their support on the channel. You can see that their little super chat in the yellow sticker. Jam, I've been accused by BBC and Minions of being a person I'm not. It makes me laugh. They suck at skills. Reasoning, I guess. Badger, welcome. Skippy, Mitch, I don't think it's an appropriate question, is it? Why do we care? Team Truth, thanks, Kaden. I appreciate you. I just wish there was something, anything to show you where there was so people could feel better about believing this. CC to Mitch, why would you need to know that? So Mitch must have been asking some other questions, which I've not got on here. OK Reported says, what the F? Why would Kaden Pressy give anyone his attorney's name? What is your attorney's name, Mitch? Ah, right. Was it mentioned on the previous screenshot? Maybe not. I might have not got it, but you'll see it. So basically, it seems like Mitch was wondering who is Kaden's defence, Kaden's attorney. What's the person's name? And Kaden responds with, I don't know my attorney's name because I don't deal with all that. My parents do. Okay, fair enough. If that's the case, if Kaden Pressy doesn't really know who his attorney's name is, does that also link to when it came to Kaden Pressy's police recording on his phone or device, which was put into a Dropbox file to be handed over to the attorney, that was done by Alicia, and Kaden wasn't doing it himself, but he was caught up in the mess of it by other people's actions of when things didn't go to plan and other people stabbed others behind in people's backs. Maybe. Hence, showing that Kaden at times has been caught up in the middle of it all, which is unfortunate. And Team Truth says to CC, Alicia, maybe don't let him on here. You're the one that needs to answer anyway. What? Yeah, moving on. We've got Detective Kaden. Did you go to the lake or anywhere but home after you dropped off the 3 other guys from the party? Okay, interesting question. We'll zoom in for this one. So, this is in regards to 7 in the morning onwards of Monday, September 4th, 2023. Okay. So, after 7 in the morning, when Kaden, from what he said, was told by Renee to leave the house before cops got down, what did Kaden do after dropping off Mikey, Brylan and Isaac? Did Kaden go to the lake? What lake exactly? Warwicker Lake by any chance? Why though? We'll get to that a bit later, that question. Teresa, admire your bravery, integrity, Kaden. Stay strong. Your parents did an awesome job raising you. Hoping the best for you. Time to go solve the case, Terrell, Oklahoma. Andrea, Raf, the severe injury to the left side of Noah's head could definitely have been caused by a severe blow to the side of his head. Temporalis muscle was lacerated and hemorrhaged. Right, a severe blow. But what type of blow do you think, Andrea? What type of impact with what object or item. CC, using the custom Warlike Wrath facepalm emoji. Looks quite good. Huh. My hand's that big it almost covers my head, and that's saying something. Kaylee. Kaden, lol, good. Love your attitude. George Choden. With so many guns at the party, why use golf clubs? Well, guess it depends how many guns were actually at the party, because I've yet to see a figure or a statistic as in how many firearms were at the party. How many guns were at the party? Does anybody know? And secondly, the individual, if there was one responsible for taking it out on Noah, did they own a firearm themselves at the time? Yes or no? That's another question. The possibility, if you was to tie it in, and it might be a bit of a reach, but if you was to tie it in with heat of the moment and or planning ahead, shooting someone would be more obvious, I guess, as in determining the cause of death, you would think. If you used to shoot someone several times or once, there'd be a bullet hole, fragments maybe within, ballistics, that you try dumping someone on the highway to stage a hit and run, it's going to look less like a hit and run, more like a shootout of some sort because of the, the penetration mark, the hole in the body or skull. Kind of like with the Dylan Rounds case when it came to determining how and what happened to Dylan there, it was figured out in the end. Using a golf club or some kind of blunt force object to try and edge a little bit more closer to the possibility of being able to transform it in other ways, other causes of death. See, if you're going to get killed during a hit and run or a vehicular-based accident, tends to be with the vehicle itself, the mode of transportation. And normally, vehicles' modes of transportation tend to be quite blunt. They're not sharp like a knife. They're not, are they? You get hit by a vehicle at some force, it's going to cause damage, of course, all kinds, depending the angle, the speed, velocity, and all of that. Whether run over as well, and so on. But getting shot with a firearm is completely different, the type of injury and the damage. It's more obvious. You can determine it probably easier there. Using some kind of blunt item or object to try and be as close to a vehicle as possible, even though it's a bit of a stretch. It's just edging the gap just a little bit, that's all. I'm just trying to think of it from other ways. We got Nugget that says, tell us all what you were doing September 3rd for 2023. Dying feller. He told 58 times already he doesn't recall. Is that Sam? Who is Nugget anyway? Welcome to the channel. Sadie, welcome as well. So Kaden Pressy, is he your original attorney? Somebody said the other one quit. Huh. Brooke Carter, Justin is such an idiot. Wait, what? Wait, which Justin? Because I think I saw, was one called Just in Time for Justin, and then you got Justin Roy. I guess Brooke is referring to Justin Roy. Kaden Pressy responds back to detective saying, no, I stayed home all day. That's in response to the question at the top here about, Kaden, did you go to the lake after dropping off the 3 guys, as in Monday morning onwards of Noah's death? What did you do Monday morning onwards? And Kaden said, I stayed home all day. Which, to be fair, is understandable. Considering what's gone on, you might not be in the mood to be going out everywhere and doing things and having a good time after what's happened. So I understand that. So, on this particular one, once again, Detective has got a few more questions to ask. Let's see. Okay, Kaden, so you did not go meet up with JJ that day, Because JJ Bumpass did make an appearance in the comment section of the live chat, and we'll get to that a bit later. Nugget, Kaden's attorney doesn't matter. His attorney cannot make comment on an open active matter, lawyer-client privacy. Kaden Pressy says no in regards to detective about, so did you not go meet up with JJ Bumpass on September 4th? Kaden says, no, I didn't. I met up with JJ the following day. Interesting. Because we don't really hear much as in what happened to different party goers and witnesses the day after that. How were they feeling? What were they doing? Would it matter that much? Well, just to get an idea of things and the atmosphere, that's all. Robbie Taylor. Conspiracy theories everywhere. They aren't very good at paying people. Still have not got my check. Keith, thanks Warlight Rare for continuing coverage of the case. You're welcome. And it's good that you're here watching. Detective says to Kaden, did your mom, Alicia, ask you if you were involved in Noah's death? Who was it that questioned that as well? Was it Alicia? Well, no, it wasn't Alicia as in questioning directly if Kaden was involved in Noah's death. But I think Alicia somewhere, was it in Partners in True Crime Interview Part 2, the unreleased one, where Alicia may have said, or it might have been mentioned elsewhere, about Alicia referring to, there was like some footage by Kathy Bingham or some kind of video or some sort, and I was questioning whether, do you know if Kaden is in this footage? And maybe other people interpreted it as, what? Is Alicia saying that she doesn't know if Kaden is truly innocent or not? Things like that. It's from the top of my memory. I think roughly I remember hearing that. JJ Bumpass down at the bottom says, me and Kaden Pressy met up the morning Noah died. What? I texted him and asked why someone said something, and he said, Noah's dead, man. And that was right after he had called me and woke me up. Wait. Hold on. So, detective says, on Monday, did you meet up with JJ on the same day as Noah's death? Kaden Pressy says, no, I did the following day, which would be Tuesday. JJ says, me and Kaden met up the morning Noah died, as in Monday. So Kaden is saying that me and JJ were hanging out together on a Tuesday. And JJ is saying, me and Kaden were hanging out on Monday, the day of Noah's death. What's going on here? Interesting. There's a bit of miscommunication, I guess. That's how I interpret it here. But, hanging out together. Interesting. Moving on to the next one. Wish it would stop zooming out. JJ Bumpass asked to hang out to clear his mind. So Kaden Pressy wanted to hang out with JJ to clear his mind. Fair enough. Tammy, Kaden, did you know JJ before Noah's death? Was JJ and Jack friends before Noah's death? Skippy, Big, why would you even ask such a question? What question, then? Detectives, JJ, that Monday or Tuesday? Yeah, because I was confused about that. Kaden says Tuesday, JJ says Monday when they met up. Sadie, JJ, were y'all gone for most of the day? Kaden Pressy responds to Tammy, yes, Tammy, me and JJ were best friends since kids before all this happened. Long-time friends, Kaden and JJ Bumpass. But JJ Bumpass was not at the party at the time, but Kaden did attend. Interesting. But, what else? Yeah, because the other question which Kaden didn't answer was JJ Bumpass and Jack Newton friends before Noah's death? And Kaden only says, yes, me and JJ were best friends. No mention of Jack, though. At least how I interpret it here. Andrea, why did the golf club or clubs disappear? Any response? JJ Bumpass responds to Sadie, saying, no, probably just an hour or two. That's when Sadie says, JJ, were you and Kaden gone for most of the day? And JJ says, no, we were out hanging out together for about 2 hours or so. Fair enough. Teresa, Skippy, they probably want to pay off his lawyer. Corruption involved, perhaps, none of the business. Kay says, JJ, I thought you were Noah's friend and Kaden's lifelong friend. What else do we have here? Beauty Gurumo, thank you JJ for replying and telling your truth as well. Nugget, that's kind since he has been bombarded since his name came in. He's been in here since before you came in and it's remained this way. Tim Daniel, can't you just look at your GPS history and see if you were at a lake on Monday or Tuesday? Why do we need to focus in on a lake or the lake? What lake? Warwicker Lake, Monday, Tuesday, why? Does it link to Noah's death? Does it link to evidence being disposed of? What are we getting at here? JJ Bumpass says, I've known Kaden Pressy and Noah Presgrove both since I was a child. Noah was my grandpa's neighbour. Kaden I met at church when we were in like preschool. Is that what that means? Preschool? Right, okay, so that's a reference to Kaden and Noah. But what about Jack Newton? See, I'm trying to remember everything. Didn't JJ Bumpass say he knew Jack Newton, as in back in school, high school, and they graduated together? But JJ Bumpass did say back then, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm doing it from memory, that JJ, whilst in the presence of Jack and knowing him to an extent, they were not friends. But fast forward later onwards, at what time? I can't remember. Is it after Noah's death? Where JJ was helping or assisting Jack Newton for work or so, and that's how they became friends then at a later point. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure I remember hearing that by JJ in a past video not long ago. Sadie, yes. Thanks, JJ. Kaden Pressy, do you still hang out? Is where it starts getting interesting. Beauty Gurumo says, I agree. I'm sipping some coffee and taking it all in. Oh my god, Beauty Gurumo, stop. What coffee is it? Oh my goodness, it better not be a flat coffee. It's got to be extra special. Yeah. And speaking of which, Beauty Gurumo, I think you need more than one coffee because things are getting real heated. You know, all this drama and tea sipping, a lot is going on. And, you know, we've got to try and keep it all together. Moving on, Kaden Pressy says, they all are, money does wonders, whatever that is. Detective says, Kaden, have you seen the Snapchat picture of Mikey not in the living room or on the side of the road at 5:27 a.m? Robbie, Kaylee, why? Because he has a different truth. JJ Bumpass, I'm not against anyone. Wish the best for Kaden Pressy. Kaden says, likewise, buddy. JJ then says, never been paid $1, not sure how money's done anyway. Remember, I think most have seen that. Seen what? Oh, the money situation. Mitch, what does money does wonders mean? Sadie, sorry, maybe when all this is over, y'all can rekindle your friendship. Tim, JJ, was Jack at the scrap pile with you guys or not? Oh, is this in reference to the whole golf club situation when coming across them? Kaylee, it's just what I've gathered, an outsider looking in. Okay, says, if you want the best for Kaden Pressy, why are you lying? Who? Remember, I have seen Kaden asking for his parents to please not be rude to Jack. Is this actually Kaden Pressy speaking? It sounds very much like somebody else. What, somebody else hijacking Kaden's account? JJ Bumpass says, I've not lied. Just take it as two sides to a story and believe which side you want. I have no benefit from lying. Okay. Tammy, were JJ and Jack friends before Noah's death? Supposedly, no, but they did know one another. They graduated at the same time, but they weren't friends. But then fast forward onwards, after Noah's death, I think JJ was working for Jack or helped Jack, and that's how they got on well. I believe so. Beauty Grumo. OK reported, everyone has their own stories, doesn't mean they are lying. Kaden Pressy says, yes, this is Kaden speaking. OK. Sadie, I don't believe you're lying either, JJ. JJ Bumpass to Tammy, Jack was just a mutual acquaintance to me back then. OK, that makes sense. It ties in line with what we've learned previously, as like what I've relayed just before. Detective Kaden, do you remember any flashing lights that morning when you drove down to see Noah? What, the first time round? JJ to Member, quit trying to start something between us. That's not there. Robbie, I don't think JJ is lying or against Kaden. I've never heard him say anything, but he cares about Kaden. Kaylee, JJ, so you're not Kaden's friend anymore? Oh. That's so. JJ, Jams, I'm not with Logan whatsoever anymore. Well, yeah, we've heard about that previously, where it's probably going to be mentioned a bit later on, to be honest, so I'll just leave it for now. Shout out to Brenda. It's good to see Kaden and JJ being civil with each other. Even if they don't agree on certain things, kudos, guys. Jam, sorry, I didn't hear you broke up. Oh, with what? With Logan and JJ. Kaden Pressy, we all want justice. JJ, reported. Right, when it says reported, I'm guessing that means reported as in the username, OK reported, responding back to whatever question. And what question would that have been? I don't really know. But JJ says November 18th, 2023. Is that around the time of when JJ got with Logan? Maybe. And in fairness, if that really is the case with JJ in November time when getting with Logan, that's what Alicia Lee said in the past to me at a time when everyone else was saying, no, Alicia is lying, she's got it wrong. JJ was actually with Logan at the time of the party. So it seems in some ways that Alicia was on the same wavelength as JJ Bumpass in regards to timing of when who was who in a relationship. And with what I listened to at the time, I was on the same wavelength as well, maybe. That when it came to December the 23rd of 2023 roundabout, that's when JJ met up with Logan at the party house to hang out, I believe. Anyway, Kaden Pressy, regardless of the sides. Robbie, why isn't Jack allowed to have a theory and then change his mind to another theory like everyone else? Well, what I would say is, Robbie, changing your theory, no problem in that. You should be allowed to do so. But changing a fact to a different fact can get problematic. And if it's ever misunderstood when it should have been a theory, it might just come down to the wording and language, a language barrier at the time, which may have been misinterpreted by other people out there when reading or listening to Jack. Sadie, Kaden Pressy, did your mom Alicia ever tell you that JJ called or sent a text to her to check on you about a month ago? What? OK reported, when did JJ meet Logan? Kaden Pressy to Sadie, yes, I was told. So Kaden Pressy was told that JJ called or sent a text to her, Alicia, to check about Kaden and how he was doing. Interesting. So there's a level of care and concern, which is positive. Teresa, what was the argument about at the kitchen table at party, Noah and two boys? No clue. JJ does respond back to OK Reported's comment. When I keep saying OK, it's probably short for Oklahoma, that. Oh, shit. Doesn't matter. JJ says, I met Logan Jernigan November 18th, 2023. Kind of in passing. Kaden Pressy posted me for my birthday December 20th, and she added me online. Our relationship began shortly after. December 23rd or 24th, that's when supposedly JJ went down to the party house to see Logan. So, fair enough. Seems to be on level there with the consistency. What JJ Bumpass has said in a past video in the live chat is consistent with what he's saying here as well. That's a positive. And also my memory is on point as well, which is another positive. Mitch to Skippy, today's chat is Wild West. Stop with the rules. I'm trying to break the rules. Oh, Mitch, you start breaking the rules, you might be breaking backs and mountains. I don't know. Skippy, thanks JJ. Not sure whether even asked, but appreciate you responding. Badger, hit the like button. Great chat. Appreciate that, Badger. Teresa, what was the two girls fighting about when Noah went missing? Well, I think it was actually about Noah going missing, or at least it could be interpreted that because of the timing of it all. Sadie, I've wondered the same thing. I'm sure even law officers have different theories. It should be no big deal. Jam, yes, hit the like button. Appreciate that. +1. Kaden, were you aware of the shower and who was there? Kaden was asleep at that time, supposedly. Anyway, Oklahoma reported, JJ is saying you went to the lake with him the day Noah died. Is he lying, or are you? Are the two of you still friends? Yeah, referring back to that, because Kaden said he went Tuesday with JJ, hanging out somewhere at least for maybe 2 hours. JJ is saying no, it was on the same day as Noah's death. What's really going on there? Andrea, Kaden and JJ, did you see the shower Snapchats as in the video? Good question. JJ Bumpass, to Twilight Star. I was still friends with Kaden up until late May of 24th. Let me zoom in here. Starts getting interesting, doesn't it? JJ Bumpass was friends with Kaden Pressy up until late May of the 24th, or 2024. Okay. But why though? We'll get to that. Sadie, someone said that you had a timestamp of the rollover, Kaden Pressy. Where are they getting that information? Now, there will be some important questions here which are just not answered, but, we're just working with what we've got and what could be mentioned. George, to JJ and Kaden, you two should hug it out and make up. Reported, can't read. Somebody help them. Oh, no. Kaylee, JJ, are you not friends because of Noah's case? Brooke Carter, Jan makes my head hurt. Why? Is it because of the long paragraphs? Kaden Pressy, I'm unaware of the actual day we went to the lake, but I'm sure it was the next day. Right, so Kaden Pressy isn't quite sure, isn't quite confident. But if JJ is more confident that it was Monday, the day of Noah's death, that's supposedly when Kaden went with JJ to the lake. But which lake exactly? But Kaden still feels that it was the day after. Would it make a difference if it was the day after or not in regards to post-death of Noah? What is this leading to? Or what do people interpret it as exactly? JJ Bumpass, because of things pertaining to the case. Right, so that's in response to Kaylee. Kaylee says, JJ, are you not friends with Kaden because of Noah's case? And JJ says, well, yeah, because of things pertaining to the case. JJ at this moment in time can't be friends with Kaden. Whether that be for legal reasons, got to keep separate and away, distant, or mutual disagreements. Very interesting, is it not? We've got a couple more screenshots here. What more do we have? Twilight. So then, Kaden and JJ, what happened? Was it because of the stupid scrapyard situation? Sadie. Personally, JJ and Kaden Pressy, I think we should all have a lot more friends. I think we all have a lot more friends if our parents stayed out of it, just saying. I know that from personal experience. Right, okay. So Sadie is basically saying that at times, and like with this particular case, like when the parents get involved, they could get protective of their children, feeding words into the children or wanting others on behalf to separate and spread out. To be honest, I think it was worded as, whether it be from what Kaden said or Alicia, that one of the reasons to why Kaden Pressy distanced himself from Jack or vice versa, because Alicia wanted Kaden to do that, so Kaden would be safe, or that Kaden would be okay in terms of the case and investigation. But in distancing oneself, then it had a knock-on effect with all other partygoers that distanced themselves from Kaden. I think that's kind of like what Sadie is getting at here. Badger, is the case still open? Yes. Kaden, in response to George Choden, I wish that I could hug it out and be close and friends with JJ, but it ain't that easy. I miss my buddy, but it just ain't that easy. Right, so it is complex, the situation and divide, because of the case and Kaden Pressy and JJ Bumpass. Now, the reason why it's obviously very interesting is the fact that supposedly JJ Bumpass wasn't even at the party, but still can't be around Kaden Pressy because there is like a roadblock and because of the case itself. Now, maybe both individuals don't have to be associated with the case. If at least one of the two individuals is associated with the case, outsiders can't get too close. Maybe. So does that mean that your life is on hold from there on? What happens if Kaden Pressy has a girlfriend or comes across a girl in the future? Can you be in a relationship with them or not? Or is it like, well, to be honest, conflicts of interest or the case at hand, can't talk to anyone, can't hang out with anyone? How strict does it get? Because is it only people you're friends with previously and up until the case that of it happening, people from the past, people that you were friends with at the time, and then onwards, that's when there's conflict? But you can meet new people in the future and be around them to whatever extent, but before that, with previous people, you can't the same way because of conflicts of interest. I don't know. If anyone wants to clear that up, you can do so below. What else do we have there? Kaylee, JJ, that's sad. You all need to stick together and support each other. And last one, this was just towards the end of the video chat. Kaden Pressy says, I did take a right turn off the highway. I did my little Google map analysis at the time of it. And I said, am I going down the correct road? And Kaden said, take a left, then a right onto the highway. And he said, yes, you're correct. So that's all good to know. We're on the same wavelength there. But that's pretty much it for the chat. All in all, very interesting that and very deep, considering so many screenshots, a handful of them, and the length of this video itself by itself. I think it deserves a video of its own, hence why I'll leave it as it is. Just trying to interpret the conversations with what Kaden was getting at, what JJ was referring to, some never seen before details that have been added in now, which weren't back then. The catalyst being YouTube, my channel enabling conversation through the live chat box, and maybe a bit more tonight or maybe in the future. You can see how it comes about and how it works. See, the big positive is you clearly saw that Brooke Bounds Carter was in the chat last night. Kaden Pressy was too. Whilst I might not get on well, the chat themselves, no direct attacks, not that full on. It was reasonable, it was controlled. Maybe previously when Kaden appeared first time round or vocally on my channel and when Brooke was there was a bit more back and forth. But last night, it was reasonable. There might have been a lot of questions, might have been a bit overwhelming for some, but that's why I did the video today. I tried to get in a hold of as many responses by Kaden to questions and JJ so you could see it for yourself and almost like filter it out from all the other text. Maybe I should have blurred bits out and put arrows or markers next to the questions and answers, but I wanted to keep it raw because if I tried blanking out anything, people would be like, oh yeah, Warlight Wrath, following terms and conditions again, blocking out stuff, trying to hide or censor. I wanted it to be raw and natural so it didn't give people ammunition, okay? But I'm sure there's enough ammunition already based off the way my hair is. I don't know what the fuck's happened, to be honest, but it is what it is. But we need to tie up some loose ends, okay? We've got Big Black Detective. He may have items on the larger side. Good for them. Oh, other people do in the chat right now. Other people in the chat have their own tools. Show and tell. Haha, yeah. No, I don't think so. But I did mention myself, and I did back it up with a level of confidence that I have one of the biggest vibrators about and biggest bananas. And I'm sure some people wanted to know more about it, and others were hoping that it would not be brought up again in conversation. But if in doubt, whip it out. It's now time. So, supposedly Brooke Bounds Carter likes to feed some of her horses like bananas. Okay. Does it help with the hair and skin? Makes it extra smooth and soft, regenerates hair faster. Well, that might be okay for you, Brooke Bounce Carter, feeding your horses bananas. You will not be feeding my banana to your horse, okay? Because here it is, and I can't even fit it in shot because it's that big, okay? We've got the tip there, and then we've got the side there. I can't fit it in, it's too big, okay? My banana. Sorry, what was that? People were thinking something else. Corrupt mindset. Very disappointed. Don't be corrupting me. I'm the most innocent individual about. Don't be saying anything, Sharon. So, the next thing. This. Oh no. Detective, have I stolen your item? No. It's not used for that. It does other things. It's not a tyre. It's not tyre marks. It's not going to run over you. It's got a button. You touch it slightly. Ooh, low battery. That's unfortunate. But that's all it is. Okay, you roll it over and it creates vibrations. That's all. What's it used for exactly? Muscle recovery. And that is all. You done exercise, you got any aches or strains, roll it over the arm, and that's pretty much it. So, with everything cleared up, or mostly things cleared up, I think we'll leave it there. If you did find the video somewhat interesting, you want to share the video, maybe hit the thumbs up, that'd be appreciated. So there's more awareness, more people get to see this, and from Kaden Pressy's point of view, of course, and even JJ Bumpass, multiple people all being in the same room and not many attacks going on. Oh, are things starting to change? Who knows? Time will tell. But thanks for watching. My name's Warlike Ref. Goodbye. Good night for now.